Hi, and welcome to So You Want to Be a Data Scientist podcast. On this podcast, I interview professionals from different branches of data to inform the aspiring data scientist out there. And I've been there. I was an aspiring data scientist myself, and I know how hard it is to navigate everything data science alone. That's why I want to share what I've learned with you. Learning data science doesn't have to be scary or overwhelming. On my website, I share weekly articles, interviews with data professionals, and online courses to guide you on your data science learning journey, so that you can use your time efficiently instead of getting distracted, and learn all the necessary skills, and only the necessary skills, and be ready as a data science professional for hiring. Check out the website. It's soyouwanttobeadatascientist.com. Welcome, everyone. Today I have Jigyasa Grover with me. She's a machine learning engineer at Twitter. Really exciting. And she's joining us from the US. So welcome, Jigyasa.
Hey, thank you, Mishra, and I'm glad to be here with you today.
Well, I'm really happy that you're here with us. So, you're a machine learning engineer. Can you give us a little bit of an example of what a machine learning engineer does?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start in like very basic terms, like in a corporate setting, the basic task of an ML engineer, I would say, is to bring the element of intelligence other than human intelligence, like kind of, as we say, artificial intelligence to business logic of the company or the
Mm-hmm.
product you have. So it's basically their job to build models either from scratch or just use off the shelf technologies using existing frameworks or having like added layer of their own variant on top. They also sometimes have the duties of sculpting the data set into the format which would actually go into the ML training services. So not only they build models, but if they are a part of a bigger company, they also help them productionize at scale. Because having a model on your own laptop or your local system is very easy, but having it to serve millions of people at one time is yet another engineering skill. So I would say this is a high level expectations of what an ML engineer would do day to day.
I see. So just to see that I understood you correctly, then you are responsible for preparing the data, training
Mhm.
a model, and also deploying the model for use.
Exactly.
And can you tell us a little bit how you ended up in a machine learning engineer position, or how your journey was?
Yeah, for sure. So I kickstarted my journey in tech basically when I was doing bachelor's degree in computer science, and I used to contribute a lot to open source projects. I would like to also mention that I have the honor of being the Red Hat Women in Open Source award winner back in 2017. And during those times, I worked on a project called Suzy, which was aiming to build an open source digital voice assistant, just like Siri, Cortana, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And that was during a part of Google Summer of Code. I then started taking up some ML classes in the university, did a handful of research internships at National Research Council of Canada, Institute of Research and Development France, FOSS Asia Singapore, with sponsorship from prestigious international organizations. I would say I was very lucky that I would get opportunities to travel abroad and work there and do lots of open source and research internships. And that is where my interest intensified. So after graduating with the bachelor's degree, I decided to pursue an advanced degree, and I graduated from the University of California, San Diego, with my master's degree in specializing machine learning and artificial intelligence. During this time, I also got an opportunity to work at Facebook in their headquarters in Menlo Park for a brief duration on a very interesting intersection of data science and ads business, which gave me a great insight into how big companies leverage data and fuel their systems, making billions of revenue. And that's where I realized the power of data science and machine learning. So, and now I'm working at Twitter in the same ads business, ads prediction. So, this is how my journey has been into figuring out computer science, figuring out open source, and then eventually machine learning.
Oh, that sounds really cool. So you basically started with a CS, computer science major, and then you took the relevant courses, and you were doing internships, related projects, and that's basically what brought you into the world of data.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. And so you probably know that there's, always this confusion between data science and or there being the position of data scientist and machine learning engineer.
Hmm.
Uh, how do you see this difference, or do you realize the difference, or let's say, did you choose machine learning engineers specifically as opposed to data science, or you think they're too close to each other to compare?
Um, there is a very thin line into what goes into machine learning and what goes into data science, but according to me, there are many key differences, which is something that I think there are present. Is like data science is mostly massaging the data, collecting the data, putting it into the right format, and then finding trends, etc. But then from there on is what machine learning engineers take it forward. They build the models, they feed the data prepared by the data scientists to go into the models, and then the results are can be compared, like analyzed by both data scientists and machine learning. So maybe the places I have worked, they have a clear distinction of what a data scientist would do and what a machine learning engineer would do. And my interest is more on machine learning side because I would like to experiment with what things you can extract from the data prepared. So hence I chose machine learning.
Yeah, and do you think it would be fair to say then a machine learning engineer has to have excellent understanding of machine learning principles?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's one way to put it. Yes.
Hmm, hmm. Okay, so let's take a step back and talk a little bit about your day to day work. Can you tell us a little bit of some specific tasks that you're doing every day after you arrive in the office, or, after you wake up and then you sit on the desk at home?
Yeah, for sure. So earlier I used to wake up early, work out, take a train, and go to work in the downtown. But now all I do is wake up. I'm trying to put in a routine and then, get ready and sit on my desk. And from my experience so far, I can say that every day is completely different. Like, no days are similar. Because one day I would wake up and then I would have like interviews with different stakeholders, like with different teams I'm working with. Some days it would be just like endless exploration of data, sitting with the data scientists, figuring out what data would be useful, analyzing the trends we have, finding some useful features, which I also term as feature engineering. So this is what we do together with the data science team because we provide everyone can have their own inputs. Some days as a team, we just try to build a model or fix bugs that we have for a specific problem, or like maybe tune our old models. Some days it's like setting up experiments, trying out different combinations of features, using different discretizers, performing grid search on finding the best hyperparameters, experimenting with different techniques to fasten the training process because no one has the time to sit and look at the screen for 13 hours while your model trains, keeping up with the latest research, reading research papers, discussing ideas with your peers, analyzing results from experiments after those 13, 15 hours of model has trained, tying up those experiment results back to the business product metrics and so on. So the tasks are endless and every day is so different. So, but these are usually the tasks that we do on day to day
I
basis.
see. Well, it sounds like plenty of them. I'm sure it doesn't get boring at all.
Yeah, so far it hasn't been.
Nice. You said also some serious amount of time is spent talking to stakeholders and data scientists.
Mhm.
So does that mean that you also spend a good amount of time basically doing people facing work, and you need good communication skills?
Yes, I guess any job, communication is the key factor. When you go for interviews, no matter how much you know, but if you're not able to communicate to the person you're talking to, or you are not able to communicate your ideas in the right way, it's of no use. So, communication should always be there, regardless of whatever career you're trying to pursue.
Yeah, but I feel like especially in a data career, because there are a lot of people, maybe it's not that way in Twitter, but I feel like even in the same company there are a lot of people who are not aware of what data science or machine learning can do or cannot
Mhm.
do. You also have to really be on top of your game and explaining to them what it can do and it cannot do, kind of be like what is the word for it, ambassador for
Yes.
the new technology.
Mhm. And always
In a
keep
way.
asking questions because I like since the time I've been there, there's so much new coming up every day, be it like new models, new techniques, new kind of like data analysis tools, feature importance tools. So it keeps on changing so fast that you have to keep an eye on what's going on, keep asking questions because of course you cannot be know it all, but you can have like some
Yeah.
amount of insight into what goes. Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, it's. I mean, we don't have to constantly stress ourselves to know the latest thing, but it
Hmm.
always helps to know at least what it's about, and then be able to answer when someone asks us about them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's talk about your team a little bit.
Hmm.
Can you tell us about how the structure works in your team? Are you a part of, data specialists, or are you separated in a team specialized on a product? How does it work?
Hmm. Sure. So at Twitter, I work in the ads prediction team, and my primary goal is to help the team improve our prediction models so that the users are shown relevant ads that they like the most and thus increase their engagement with the platform. So our team has to interact majorly with many teams most of the time. So one maybe one that focuses on building tools for ML modelers, like, and then one that maintains the infrastructure for us to productionize models at scale. Then the data science team, of course, which I mentioned, which massages the data, performs analysis, identifies trends, helps with experimentation, and so on. And of course, the one that deals with brand deals, keeping in mind the advertisers' happiness part of the product as well. So, as I mentioned before, tying up our experimentation results with the business product metrics.
So then in this team, you are basically all data specialists.
So, my team more is more of ML engineers. All of us are ML
Hmm.
engineers. Yes.
Hmm. And then you have to talk to people who know more about the domain and ins and outs of the domain to guide
Yes, we
you,
have
basically.
product managers, yeah, who are like more towards the domain knowledge side. Of course, my team has many senior members who have been here for long enough and know domain well. Yeah, so I'm learning every day. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Hmm.
But yeah, I also see that that is one of the most important things, to know more and more about the domain. I feel like that wasn't used to be, or at least it wasn't used to seem to be super important to people, especially in a data scientist or ML engineer position. But I also see in my work too, more and more, that it is really important to know what are the ins and outs of the domain that you're working on.
Yeah, for sure. So if you won't understand the data correctly, like you won't know the context behind the data, how would you know, like, which feature would be more important and how to build a model, like which part should go in, like, more generalization technique, more memorize. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
for
see
sure.
that even understanding how the data is collected helps a lot when you're analyzing it.
Yeah, 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 totally. Yeah, I get.
Yeah. So you're a team of data professionals, and you have product managers or product owners that are helping you with the context. And how does the whole project creation happen? Who comes up with the projects? Do you have internal customers or like other teams that come to you with requests, or who comes up with them?
So, as I mentioned, I work in the ads prediction team, and uh, mostly the project we have is to improve and build a specific model. Of course, we try different variants, and it's more of a brainstorming session we have both with product managers, data scientists, and ML engineers. So everyone's free to pitch a project and work on it together. So it's not like a one person responsibility, I would say.
I see. Okay. So basically, more or less, everyone knows what are the next issues that you should work on, what is not working, and then you
Yes.
brainstorm on them. So, yeah, you already mentioned the kind of projects that you work on. And what do you typically deliver at the end of these projects?
The deliverables vary. Like sometimes it would be like introducing a new feature to the model. Sometimes it would be you helped, quicken the training process. One project would be how you helped improve the model by, increasing X% of the business metric, product metric, and so on. So these are the small projects, but they all tie out to the bigger goal of basically increasing the users' engagement on the platform.
I see. Okay. And do you work with developers, let's say, when you're creating a new feature for a product that you have?
So one thing I would also like to mention is like software engineering skills are also very much inherent to a job of a machine learning engineer because it's not we just propose the idea of a feature, we also code it out. So it's both ways.
I see. So you create the model and you also do the integration of the model to the product.
Yes.
I see. That's a lot of responsibility.
Yes, it's like the company is not huge, it's big, but yeah, but it's good. Like you get to learn all aspects of something.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really important to be like an all-rounded person in that sense.
Yeah, of course, we as machine learning engineers, we don't work on like the front end part of it, the back end part of it. We would just supply we would supply the prediction ranking as a service, and then developers would integrate it.
Hmm, hmm. And what are the kinds of tools that you're using for your job?
So for basic machine learning, we would use TensorFlow, but we have our own tooling layer on top of it. So the framework is TensorFlow, and we code in languages like Python, Java, Scala, and of course lots of SQL because we have data.
Nice. Well, let's talk a little bit about how you like your job. So, can you tell me the most exciting thing about your job?
Yeah, the most exciting part about my job so far has been that every day is not the same. It's so different. It has taught to me to be more inquisitive, find opportunities in day to day life, especially as a Twitter user myself. I am no, now more conscious of what I see and why I see that, not only on Twitter, but on also other social media platforms. And of course, this has taught me lots of patience because things take time to build and train, but the results are worth it.
And also, the more effort you put into something, the more you're proud of it, right? At the end.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what about the most boring part of your job?
I guess I'm too new to it to have found one.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm just learning for now. Yeah, it's been a good experience so far.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Still really excited. Had the butterflies.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's just a starting phase, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I should maybe like work on to make the starting phase last longer.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, 15 months is already pretty long for a starting phase. So if you're still feeling excited, I think you're doing something right.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just like trying to learn different things. So because there are always so much going on in like a company, and if you keep your eyes open, you'll find like there's so much going on. Like not just stick to the project that you're working on. There's so many other things. Just maybe like while the model's training or something, you could help in increasing developer productivity. Build tools that would make things doing a job easier. So.
Hmm. Oh, that sounds really great. So I want to talk a little bit about AI ethics because you're working with a lot of data. And are you guys doing anything, or are you guys considering AI ethics in your daily work?
Yes, for sure. I would say Twitter is very considerate regarding to ethical practices in AI. So they would make sure that nothing is exposed out to the public. We would only use data if the user has explicitly selected them, like they are open to having their data used for ads personalization, and that might be like very few percentage, but it would that also mean that it makes our jobs harder because we won't have like enough data because most of the people would have opted out, especially with those new privacy and data protection policies now we have in the world with the so we did a lot of pdp work past this year, to have like our data sets protected, the users protected, and so on. So I'm very happy to be a part of a company, to be part of an organization that takes care of these things and is very considerate towards all of this.
No, that's really great to hear that, big companies like that are also looking out for their users and they're taking up the responsibility. So I think that's really important. Okay, so let's talk about being a woman in data science or a technical role a little bit. Do you or have you ever before encountered any bias because you were a woman?
Yeah, I'm not just a woman, I'm also a person of color. So, not in my company specifically, be it in my internships or university, there have been, just a couple of times where I might have encountered like a slight bias, where I was just talking to a professor all throughout email, and then suddenly I show up for a meeting one day, after like a break or something, and he thought I must have been like a man, like he was quite taken aback. But these things, like none of them were might have been like too severe, but each experience has taught me to be more strong and work harder, and just like work hard so that your work can speak louder.
Yeah, exactly. It's also a little bit about our resilience, right? At the end of the day, you have
Hmm.
to make sure to be able to face those people and still keep your head up and be like, yes, I'm a woman and you're going to have to deal with this.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that was most of my questions about being a machine learning engineer. Uh, the last thing I want to ask you is, do you have any advice for aspiring machine learning engineers?
Yeah, I would like to start off with saying like brush up your basics, be it the calculus, the linear algebra. These skills come in very handy later on, and they're really important, will help you on this journey. Other than just like mathematical stuff, engineering skills are very important. Pick up a set of like basic tools like, R, Python, different frameworks. You might not have to like know them all, but there should always be one go to. So engineering skills come in very handy when you're coding up a model, because of course understanding the model is one different thing, but then making the model for a company or for a startup is one different thing. As you're beginning your career in data or machine learning, choose a theme that you can relate to the best or you're more passionate about, because maybe as a user or maybe something you could help incorporate your own personal element. It would keep you engaged, because in the starting it gets very easy to get defeated, but you have to be curious and keep working hard, because the first step is what that count matters the most.
No, that's great advice. I definitely agree with your point about choosing something that you're also interested in, because I feel like many people tend to think that once you're a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, or, you're in the data kind of profession, then you just do that and that's your thing. But actually, it depends a lot on the team that you're on, as you said.
Yes, because if you're not excited about your job, if you're not like looking forward to next day, sometimes I would just like lie in bed and I won't be able to sleep, because I have this constant idea that I had to try the next day. So this is
Hmm.
something like the excitement keeps you going.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds like you're doing something right. Thank you again, Jigyasa, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Misa. Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.